How's it going? This is Ray Felix from Bronx Heroes. And this will help your audio. We're getting in here live. We're setting up. Oh, it's not letting you do voice isolation. It's okay. Yeah. That would have helped too. All right. So we're here at the Boston Color in Comics Festival. Checking it out. We're going to do a truncated version, live version. With a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. You're going to go. Yeah, I need you. You have to. I need you to help yourself. We can't help yourself. So we're just checking out the show here. We have a lot of great stuff happening here. Um, it was a busy week in politics, but we talk so much about politics. I figured let's talk about comics today. So we have a short little video here. You can see if you're anywhere in the Boston area, come check us out. We're here promoting, and it's gonna be great. I'm live. I love it. Yeah. So, and then we have Indigo here protesting on helping his father make a living. But so that's what we're doing here. How's it going? Well, say hi to the people of Canada. The zero people, like anyone. So okay, well now because nobody's watching, I can talk to you, right? No, we have to go. Okay, we have to. It's 11, and the next train is coming in a few minutes. We're live. No, Miguel is entering the studio. All right, add to. Hey, what's up, man?
Not much, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Everything's all right. Yeah. So
You're at
tell
the
me.
con.
Yeah, we're at the con. You can have a. Can you hear me clearly?
Yep.
Awesome. So I figured this would be a great way to talk about comics today since we're at a con. Yeah, you know, and my family's like, oh, we want to leave, so they're leaving.
Oh,
Yeah. So how you been? What's going on?
been good. Not much, just hanging in there.
What's
You know,
what's new in France?
a lot of things. Um, whew, France flippity flopping right now and managing to get its ships through the Strait of Hormuz. So that means that they paid in yuan.
Oh wow.
There's been some problems here with a black mayor that was elected just outside of Paris, in which in the news media, and this is a big deal here, it's actually made it to Variety in the States,
Wow.
where they were actually saying some stuff about a black mayor. Someone called him a monkey.
What?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Big, huge scandal. And
Jeez.
that guy, hats off to him. He has been very gracious and he's managed to handle it like beautifully.
That's a shame that's whenever they talk about people of color, it's always a low blow to that's their go-to,
hmm
you know it reminds me of that movie Planet of the Apes, like how they had leather jackets and they were resembling like the Black Panther Party. I'm like, what the hell, and everyone
Yeah,
loves that classic look, but at the same time it's very racist. The book itself, if anyone read the novel, that was very racist as well.
yeah, yeah,
And a spoiler alert, Abraham Lincoln is a monkey at the end of the book, so it's like, but all this talk about monkeys, so I'm gonna just have a banana. Um, well,
well, I, I,
if
I like to say
anything,
I like to say that Trump looks like formaldehyde damaged
well, he
Dr.
looks like Dr.
Zayas.
Zayas.
Dr. Zayas, right down to the same hair color, right? I mean, that could be flipped around whichever way you want to, but it's very funny, especially because right now they're trying to pass a law here where you can't say free Palestine.
Really?
They're trying to pass that bullshit here. But meanwhile,
Regardless,
apparently you can say racist anti-black stuff. So uh,
well, Trump did that whole racist thing with the Lion King and all that stuff, and Obama. The thing is,
yep,
I notice our society when the president of the United States here does the most racist, outlandish stuff. He's giving a pass or permission to be a grand asshole. So,
yeah, yeah. Sort
and
of
I've
sets
seen the behavior shift,
it
and
sets
since
the
he got
tone.
reelected. Uh huh.
It
Yes,
sets
it sets the tone.
it sets the tone, and that's what unfortunately is
Hmm.
problem. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that, and as well, there's another problem. Not in France though. In Germany,
Right.
I was just reading that males between the ages of 17 and 45
Right.
can't stay outside of the country longer than 3 months.
Right.
And if they're going to, they have to ask permission from the military.
Wow.
And I'm like, who are you guys going to fight?
Yeah. Yeah.
Your industry's fucked because the only way you get your cheap energy was from Russia.
Oh.
Your
Yeah. It's nuts.
So it's their industry's gone. It takes about 6 months to build a decent unit.
Mm.
It's not like it can just go like this. You're going to have the best units. And in six
Absolutely.
months, everything could have changed.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, it's just all around stupid. But I'm of the mind that every 20 or 30 years, Germany needs to burn up.
Hold on a second. If you have any questions, just ask. Yeah. No, you're right. It's like
It's
a
like
cycle.
it's like a weird, like, dude, it's like, and now even more so. I mean, Germany had the advantage on Russia back in World War II, and it still got its ass kicked.
Right.
Now it's kind of like the advantages on Russia's side now,
Right.
technologically. If you know about the hypersonics and the drones and
Exactly.
stuff, it's just all around stupid. But
Yeah,
you know,
it's human nature. We can't stop being ourselves, all right? And here's a
well,
fig for those trees that they're destroying over there
right.
and the West
Well,
Bank.
I don't know if it's us stop being ourselves. It's the very wealthy who want it. Very
Well,
wealthy are the ones who always push for the shit, and they're the ones who will never see the war.
it's the oldest trick in the book. Have everyone fight themselves in division while they're robbing and
Hmm.
raping the land, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard the story of what happened one of the Christmas days, World War One,
No.
where both sides, the German,
Thank you.
it was the German, I think the French and the English, all the soldiers are like, "Fuck it, we're not gonna fight anymore." And they
Mm-hmm.
walked over and they started shaking hands, and it pissed off both the commanding officers on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So really, the power comes down to why we end up having to fight. You know, the old saying, "Rich men want wars, the poor fight their wars." That's what it comes down to. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so I don't know if it's necessarily fighting or going against human nature. I think it's just that we keep listening to the same assholes. Like right
Correct.
now, a lot of young men are going off to literally they know that this is a failed mission in Iran. You
Yeah, they
know,
can't
you're
win.
literally walking into your coffin.
What other nation has been bombed by the United States so extensively? And they're like, "Is that the best you got?"
I know, I know. Well,
And
they've been
that's
planning for 40 to 50 years with this shit.
right. They're ready for us.
Oh, big time, big
But
time.
it's the white power structure is starting to realize that nobody gives a fuck about them, and it's easy to fight. It's easy to kill unarmed people. It's easy to kill people who can't defend themselves. But
And
when
that's
you,
why that's
yeah,
why Israel is not jumping in.
right, they're like, oh no,
No, no, that's
that's
good.
on you.
We're good. You go do your thing. And yeah, it's pretty wild though.
Right, it is. It's pretty wild. It's sad. It's sad. You
Because
know.
none of it needs to be done.
Yes, yes.
None
Don't
of
play
it.
the Perez. How you doing? Hold on a second. Go back to the Manhattan days. Oh, yeah. Back in later days, back in 1960s. Oh, yes. So I'm really trying to see what you guys are up to these days. Oh, yes. That's the fear to the heart and the work that was done way back when. So what do you have that's some of the older stuff, some of the older issues? Um, 1 second. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep going, Miguel.
I'll keep going. I'll keep
Keep going.
talking.
Um,
So yeah, they're going to
yeah,
be
World War Spears, like 19 Vietnam to
clamping down in Germany, so people
yeah,
can't, young
about
men
Rock
can't
Zero
leave, and it's
Spear.
between the age of
This is like
17 to
75.
45,
Yeah,
which is
it's
insane.
the 90s.
They just
Yeah,
elected in a new government with
yeah,
Mertz, and we'll see where that goes.
yes,
Yeah. So I was just explaining it's 17 to 45. Can't leave Germany
yes.
if you're a man. You know.
Oh no, it's really something else. It's something else. We're history is repeating itself, and it's because we don't learn those lessons of history. Have you the artist? Yes, I'm the artist. Yes. Oh, thank you. That's 20. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's the first. It's all four. All four. It's a complete story. Yeah. So this is a challenge, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah. Well, doing the convention thing.
yeah.
Remember that.
Just fine. Thank you, man. Let me sign up here. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like we're never gonna learn. But I think as terrible as it is, the atrocities that we're seeing on the news daily, um, I think it's a lesson that America's going to have to learn, and the Western society is going to learn not to mess with Muslims anymore. What's your name? Clark. CLARK. Thank you, Clark. My pleasure. Enjoy the read, sir. Thank you very much. Good luck to
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
I think it goes deeper. I think it's don't mess with, because we were going to go to China after Iran.
Oh, well, China said very clearly, America will make the first shot, but they will not make the last.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, we couldn't handle a middleweight,
Right, we can't.
like Iran. Yeah. I think we're good. I think
You
we're
know,
good.
when you have the white power structure playing the victim, you know, like America keeps saying, why are they defending themselves? And we call them terrorists for defending themselves, but we
Yep.
keep attacking them. And the United States has this history, whether we're manipulating Israeli people, and towards that, it's always something with the United States and European nations to play victims. Even when you go back to the Bolsheviks, it's the same thing, right? Someone is always trying to seem like someone's oppressing them, even though their goal is to destroy and wipe
Yeah.
out, and they don't like each
I
other.
do
You
know that
know?
you sent me the thing on the Bolsheviks, but I took a course on that. It's I think the general discourse out there on the Russian Revolution is often um, misconstrued. There's keep in mind that Stalin was actually himself
Right,
was studying to be a Jesuit priest,
right,
so it wasn't all like what they always portrayed it as being. And to let you know, with the Russians, they had a 90% illiteracy rate. So Russia had 90% illiteracy. And people
right,
can say whatever they want about the Soviet Union, but by the time they ended, it was like a 90% literacy rate.
right.
So we could
And you
say,
go to
oh,
Vietnam, it's
yeah,
similar.
but the end result was they're highly educated.
Mhm.
They turn out shitload of engineers. They
Right.
can read, right?
Same
Um,
thing with
but
Iran, right? It's
but
like
but the other cases, I would say that probably gets a little closer. That gets us Easter. That may piss some people off. Is Christianity.
yes,
In that, when you start to look back now, when they're seeing the saints, a lot of those saints did exist. One. Two, a lot of the cases that they say they were being persecuted by the Romans was because they
right.
weren't going along with the state religion.
Yeah.
but they made themselves, oh, I'm like, I'm a victim, but
Right?
you were breaking the law.
It's the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, even in Vietnam, it was the Catholics, but through the French regime, right, against the communist Vietnamese that wanted to self-empower, right? They wanted to benefit. It's whenever people of color want to benefit from the
Mhm.
resources that are being reaped and stolen from their lands. All of a sudden, you're the bad guy, and,
Well, and
and,
that,
and you could take that example anywhere in the world where the
mhm.
European tries to demonize the people who are just trying to uplift themselves and become autonomous. It's like we don't allow them to. You
Well,
know?
that's why I said the Bolshevik Revolution is often thrown in there, but the Bolshevik Revolution was like, we're fucking sick and tired of your asses. We want to be autonomous. We want to,
Right.
and
I mean,
there's a lot
even
of things that they had to deal with landlords because I mean Russia was not an agrarian society, but what they were scared of then when Russia pulled it off was that the workers here on this side of Europe, where I'm from, would all of a sudden want the same shit. But it goes back even further
right,
before the Bolshevik Revolution, the Paris Commune,
right,
in which the Paris Commune they literally had when the French got in war with the Prussians.
right,
There was about 3 months where they said, "Fuck it, we're not part of France anymore. We're our own
right.
independent thing," and they tried to equalize things between men, women, resolve some of the racial issues that were happening, and then under Napoleon III, they came in, massacred
Yes.
thousands of people, jailed thousands of them, deported thousands of people. So it's an ongoing struggle, black, white, whatever, but it comes down to the 1% versus the rest of us, and that's been the history of it forever.
Yes.
You Um, so
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, you look at the Native Indians as well. The Native Indians, when they discovered oil on their territories, you know, they're like, well, you're incompetent. They needed someone, a white person, to basically adopt them, or, I mean, I don't know the exact term, but it was kind of like a representative in order to take that oil money and and they were considered incompetent. That's what it was called, and they needed a white representative so that they could get use the cash, and then they had limitations on how much cash that they can get. So it's like,
yeah,
so even though this is their land originally and it was on a reservation, then what you have is like, like the white people coming in there for jobs and building industry, and then they just start murdering them off and intermarrying and then killing their children. There was a movie on it that Scorsese did called "The Killing of the Flower Moon."
hmm
But even today, that's still happening with the casinos. You have
hmm
Governor Hochul. Uh, this is Indian territory. They have casinos on their land, but they still that law that they put into place in 1920 still stands, where they're considered incompetent and they cannot have autonomy 100%. And Governor Hochul is basically taxing them for the land that's theirs, for the income that's theirs, and they take a big chunk of that money from the casinos and they give it to the mega
hmm
wealthy. It's not even going to us, the people. It's not even going towards infrastructure. It's not helping us in any way. So
nope,
nothing has
no,
changed.
and that's it. There's a great book I
Yeah,
recommend
it's like
to
it's
people.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
There's a book I recommend to people. It's a 2-volume series called The Invention of the White Race,
Yes. So about
and
the
it's
court
fantastic.
case,
It's by Theodore Allen,
I think it's
and it's a fantastic series because he goes really deep. So he says that the way that Native Americans were treated by the English
right.
has the prototype of it is in Ireland, how they treated the Irish. So they showed up to Ireland in the 1100s. They start to take over the land. Then they start saying to the Celtic people there, well, guess what? Um, we're setting up our own laws. You're not part of these laws. So therefore, you're a non-person. So very similar to what later on that they transported over to the Americas and how they start to play out. Your laws
Yes.
and your customs don't mean anything. We're setting up our own shit, and it's very eerily similar. So yeah, it's a very dismissive, but they've done it to each other.
Right.
This is the thing,
Well, I mean, even the Irish, you look at the Irish, they're like a native tribe in some aspect where they had their own language, Gaelic. They didn't speak English.
Mhm.
And then some of those, depending on where you were, you also had mixed with African culture and stuff. That's why they have the red hair and the freckles, and so they're really like kind of like what they would consider like a mulatto back in the day, right? So they,
Yeah,
you know,
and then you touch on something that's not discussed that much. So you get a lot of these white nationalists who talk all this shit about they talk the shit about, oh, European, oh, Spanish or French or Italian. Um, a lot of these cultures are comprised of different languages. Like people would know unless you like France and you come here and you learn about the
any
culture.
questions? Yeah.
But there were all sorts of different languages here that weren't
Yes.
French. So down by the Pyrenees, there's Occitan, which is actually the language of the troubadours, which is it's a form of Latin, a Latin language. And then later on, much further up, in a place called Brittany or Bretagne, they spoke a Gaelic language called Brez. So it's the Celtic part of France. You can
Yes.
see bagpipes, a lot of Celtic lore there. It's actually where a lot of the King Arthur stories come from there. But in the late 1800s, there was a push by Paris to extinguish those languages to impose French. So when you look at today, France is not the France of the mid 1800s or uh, before then, because it would have been much different. Same
And
thing goes for Italy.
you ask any Irish person if they're white, they'll say no if they're from Ireland. But
Mhm.
if they're from America, they're like yes, because they
Yeah,
don't
there's
need they unlearn their own history.
actually
But
there is a decisive moment, and actually Theodore Allen goes into this in his book, um, The Invention of the White Race, in which there was a bishop by the name of John Hughes, not the director, a bishop. And there was a man by the name of, I think his name was Connor. He was a good
yeah,
friend of Frederick Douglass. He was Irish,
right.
and he literally called out the Irish Americans, and particularly John Hughes. He was his arch nemesis across the Atlantic. And he was saying, "What are you guys doing? Like, why are you joining them? After everything that they've done to us, you're basically not siding with our black brothers and sisters." So it wasn't just kind of like there is a whole history around there, and he called the whole race thing the filthy aristocracy state. So, and he was good friends with Frederick Douglass, and actually there was a petition. It wasn't Frederick Douglass; it was another man. His last name was Lennox. He was Black American, went to Ireland, and came back with 75,000 signatures of Irish, basically telling Irish Americans to get their heads out of their ass
Yes.
and seek kinship. But John Hughes, the bishop, who actually was going against the Vatican, because at that time, the Vatican, keep in mind, at the time that the Irish were starting to become white, here in France, you had a black, you had a black priest giving communion to the King of France,
Right.
right? So the Vatican's like, you're not supposed to do any of this race stuff. That goes against our doctrine now. Like, cut that out. But John Hughes thought that he had to meld in the Irish into a white American society, and they did it, and that's how it came about. You know, there's actual specific points in history. You read about it. It's tragic. That's how it flowed in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think we have the origin story is super important to see where how we ended up where we are today, right?
Hmm. Yep. And a lot of this
As
stuff.
people got privileged, they started to splinter them, dividing and conquering them, and then making it's self doubt, right? You create a sense of doubt. So you have these guys that are like, hey, we have a lot in common, but then they start dividing them with these little privileges, which is really the breadcrumbs. And then slowly but surely they're ebbing away the resistance, right? Like, well,
Yep.
we could get hanged if we get caught. or we can benefit from this little privilege that they're offering us, and maybe, you know, which then goes to show you that those people didn't have it in their heart after all, because if it was Ireland, it was a different story, right?
Oh, there was no
Right.
choice.
You know, that's their land. But when you're in America, everyone's kind of like an orphan. So, and everyone wants that parent figure of approval. So you're in an orphan nation. You're all orphans, but you're like, well, I'll have more privilege than this other orphan.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
create that social hierarchy where it's easily to divide and conquer them, you know?
Well, yeah, it's creating the people that created the system are very clever. They
Yes.
knew that it's like an operating system of incentive,
Yes. It's the
right?
ultimate simulation that is self running.
So you have a series of little carrots, and you're hoping to get the big carrot, which is to be with the big boys.
Right.
But that carrot doesn't really exist. It's the
Right. And
series
then
of
the carrot turned into a house, a job, and a white picket fence, right? Which is
Mhm.
also an illusion because when you look at the fine print, you really don't own it. You
Yeah,
know?
and keep in mind that you go back to the 1600s. How did they divide and conquer people after the Bacon's Rebellion? Was they promised the indentured servants, once they completed their indentured servitude, was a patch of land, sound familiar? A
Yep.
gun,
Right.
and a
44
job,
inches in a mule, right?
and a job policing the enslaved.
Hmm.
So it was perfect divide and conquer. They knew what they were doing. Then
Yeah.
later on, they pulled this shit, and for whatever reason, we believe it. Oh, I don't know how this came about. It's like, don't lie to me. You guys
Yes.
created it, you know.
Yes. Yeah. It's totally.
And it comes down
And
from,
people keep falling for it. It's like
well,
it's like they say, how do you keep an idiot in suspense? And they say, I'll tell you tomorrow. And tomorrow has yet to come. They're still falling for it.
right. You know, yeah, it's once you realize that there's nothing coming from them at all, then it's much easier to deal with it. You're just lying to me.
Yes.
But but and this is where I think that a lot of people who say that humans are bad natured, I would say that our better nature tends to not want to believe that people lie. That's what gets us in trouble. Like, oh, of course. Well, he said it. He's definitely going to do it, right?
Right. That's like a nest of vipers and believing they don't have teeth.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Like,
And I think
or that the rattlesnakes don't have poisonous tails. You know, it's like,
exactly. And you know that's the thing. You know, it's a whole system set up in order to, how can I put it? Yeah, just to lie to you with incentives.
yes,
You know, now the incentives are breaking down. They're
yes.
literally telling us they want to replace us with machines,
Oh yeah.
which
I mean, teachers are going to be replaced with that robot, according to Melania Trump.
I told my son that, and he reminded me of something of being a teenager. All of a sudden, he said, "Dad, they're gonna take that thing apart,
Yeah, they're
and
going to
they're
tear it off the
already
head.
like." I'm like, "Yeah, that's true. It's
They piloted that in Japan, a beta version, which was like a robot attached to a desk, and she was a math teacher in this poor neighborhood in Japan, elementary school. It was
mhm.
like 10 years ago. So this is how way ahead Japan is, right? The kids, these well-behaved Japanese kids in school uniforms, literally was ripping the silicone skin off of the face of that robot. it's like it's like they were like abusing it, putting things
Yeah."
on it, attaching things onto it, dressing it up.
And that's the thing that I think that's missed, is that I think that every adult who's going to be in politics
Yeah,
needs to have taught kids at least a month,
right.
just so then when you walk over to your political life and you're going to decide, oh, we're going to deal with the education system. Hold on a
Right.
second. Let's be serious about this. Let's get real.
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
And that was I think that was Trump throwing Elon Musk a bone, because he blew up his car industry. He blew up the car.
E- Elon Musk, talking about him, he actually said something very fascinating that
Oh,
reminded me of the Matrix movie. They were interviewing him about some new AI system that's supposed to be like the best AI system that is superior to all AI to date. And they asked him, "What would you want to ask? What's the first question you're going to ask this AI system?" And he pondered and thought very intently and then said, I would ask it, what's on the other side of this simulation?" So I found it very Matrix like, almost like he has a sense that this is an illusion, right? What is reality? I mean,
yeah,
scientists,
he brought that
right?
up with some physicists, and they laughed at him.
Yeah.
They
But if you
laughed
think
at him.
about it,
Yeah.
reality, they say that reality only materializes and comes to it when your attention is turned to it. And there was a study done with these microscopic organisms where things cease to exist from their perspective until you bring attention to it, right? That this thing would change once awareness is brought to it. So they were trying to saying that this is not Elon Musk, by the way. This is another study that was done that our reality is based on what's in front of us, what we put our mind to, right? And
I mean,
and
yeah,
and
I mean, there's a certain degree of that,
right,
but the
and our
idea,
thoughts are not inside our mind. Our
right?
thoughts are all around us, and that's how we connect.
Yeah, I mean, that's different from like the Matrix, though, because I know that Elon, seeing how many things he's ripped off from pop culture, is
Oh,
not that deep. He's not
oh
that
yeah.
deep. He's not that
He,
deep.
well, you have to understand he has a European sense of humor where
Well,
they
he's
say
South
something.
African.
Yeah, no, he's not that, but he's still white. I was like,
Yeah, he's one of the ones they didn't want over here, right? And each European country is very different from the other.
yeah.
The
Well,
Dutch are very
even
rude,
even
rude
the
in a good.
Colombians, the whites in Colombia and colonial times, they were called the Creoles, right? Because they were not accepted by, and they were not seen as fully white
Yeah, you were
in the
European born abroad.
Americas, right?
Yeah.
So they considered themselves white, but once they left their little reality, talking about reality, and went to other circles, they were seen as lesser than, right?
Hmm.
Well, you're Scottish. You're not the same.
Hmm. Oh
Just
yeah,
like
but each of them have a very different, distinct sense of humor.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, same
but
thing with Christians and Jews, right? Christians have a very historically have a racist view towards Judaism because of the Christ, and there's a negative connotation towards that. But what's hypocritical is like, well, didn't he die on purpose?
well,
Didn't he
there's
sacrifice himself for our sins? But then you're hating these people that killed him. So it's
well,
so there's
I
a
mean, you can go to the flip side too. The other side is when you look at the region where Moses left Egypt to go into the promised land, and they got lost for 40 years in a place that takes you about a day or two to cross. You're like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, were you guys walking in circles for 40 years? Because it's
right,
literally right there, right? And here's the kicker: the area that they were going to was still Egypt, because at the time it was Egypt's province. So it's
right.
just like there's once you get into that whole hocus
The free to
pocus,
bird. Yeah, exactly.
it starts falling apart.
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't. Not only that, but in Africa, the Ethiopians. Yes, yes. Whatever you're. Excuse me. Huh?
No worries.
Buy one of your albums. Come around at like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Okay. Well, maybe we'll make a trade. All right. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Like the Ethiopians had these. I think it was like 22 laws or something like that. Or it was like
Mhm.
25. So for Moses to go up into a mountain and get 10 commandments doesn't make sense because already during that time period, they had these treaties, the Ethiopians, that you had to follow. And if you read the Ten Commandments is just a portion of that, which goes back to Mel Brooks bringing down 15 and breaking one.
Right.
Right? So it's like,
Well, it's also a bastardization. I'm going to be really harsh.
right,
All this stuff is a bastardization of Mesopotamian
right,
stories and
right,
religion. So you have King Hammurabi. King Hammurabi's laws are the first laws that we have. He
yeah,
even talks about eye surgery and the
right,
right to eye surgery. And you're
right,
talking a culture that's clearly older than what Judaism pretends to be. It's an
right.
old fucking the biblical flood literally lifted from that. The Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Gilgamesh.
know, so a lot of these things is like, oh, that sounds good. I'm gonna take that. That becomes part of
Yeah.
my religion. This becomes
I mean, even Buddhism, right? Buddha had 12 disciples. He went through the forest. He had the temptations. Yes. Tell him that he drew it. That gentleman over there. Kids they're
no, that's
cracking us.
good. That's good. Get to see the young out there
That doesn't look like Superman.
interested in comic books. But yeah,
Yeah.
Buddhism is still relatively younger than compared to
Oh yeah.
Mesopotamia. Uh,
Right. See, even
Mesopotamia.
even Superman fans don't get along.
What's that?
It's just like Christianity. Superman fans don't get along, right?
Right.
That
Well,
doesn't look like Superman.
here's a fascinating thing. Like between the fact that the Bible was influenced by Hellenic, like Greek
Right.
stories,
Right.
it's also very heavily influenced by Mesopotamian stories.
Yes.
Except Mesopotamian stories end up resolving much nicer.
Yes.
There's a big difference between them. But I'll tell you something. This is the thing that most people don't know or don't talk about. Maybe don't know. Um,
Feel free to
bank,
peruse. Yeah.
banking comes from religion. Like
Hmm?
when
Yeah.
you're looking back at the clay tablets that they found at the temples of Mesopotamia,
Yes.
when they decoded them, they're bank loans.
Mm.
Like 90% of them are bank loans. Like this that puts into perspective. A lot of people are like, oh, Jesus was pissed off at the people for money handling. Not really, because that was standard. That was part of what would go on. What he was pissed off about was people were being forced to no longer,
This one's funny. Yeah.
yeah, no longer, they were basically being forced to opt out of Jubilee,
Yes.
which meant that you could basically have your credit cleaned after a while. But the ancient Mesopotamians understood something we don't understand today.
Slave and one 14-year-old female. 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
5-year-old? No, I don't have anything for 5-year-olds. I'm sorry. This is all mature reading. Yes, yeah. Yeah. Wrong table. You might want to go over there. Like, right there, this gentleman there where it says Crystal Adams, Fair Square, they have books for 5-year-olds.
Oh,
Thank you
wow.
very much. Yeah.
Yeah, so they had a formula to figure out when a loan and its interest payment decoupled. You could
Yeah.
never pay it back, no matter what. It was
Right.
impossible because things start to get exponentially higher because of the interest rates.
Right.
Rome
And
was the first.
that's another interesting thing you say because think about it. When the Moors were conquering Europe, it was against. There was no like taxes or well, not saying no taxes, but I mean you pick only pay the tax if you didn't convert. But
Yeah,
amongst themselves, there is no tax. Even today, like you could go to any of these Muslim lands and there's no taxes or
because
interest.
usury is considered a sin.
It's considered a sin, yeah.
Yeah,
But in the West, they're like, "What do you mean?" So I mean, you could buy a house in Egypt today, which I learned recently,
it's
and
actually
just own a
interesting because
podcast.
there was a
And
point. There was a point where Christians.
yeah, yeah,
There was a point where Christians had the same thing.
yeah,
There's a point of that.
right,
That's where they started to use Jewish people
yes,
as intermediaries. Well, I can't, but they can charge it to you because they're not Christian,
right,
and that starts to put them in a very bad position.
right,
because they weren't allowed to do trades and other things too. So,
Right.
um, but yeah,
Yeah. I mean, and then that goes to the root of history of where this division comes in. Because I mean, if you really look at like Hinduism or Buddhism or Christianity or Judaism, they all have roots within each other. These are like cross branches that, and then they separate like a tree, right? But the roots of this are similar. But when it grows into a tree and it branches out, then they're all different. I mean,
yeah,
it's like that kid was saying about Superman. You have the Zack Snyder Superman. You
right,
have
right,
James Gunn Superman. You have Christopher Reeve, the Donner Superman. And none of these people like each other. They disagree with what this man represents. And then you have the people who like the
right.
comics and
I
Christianity in some ways the same way, and religion in general.
I kind of see the Eastern side a little like
Yeah.
Buddhism and Hinduism, like their
Yes.
own branch, own
Yeah.
tree,
Their
and
own.
I see the Abrahamic religions as their own tree, only
In a sense, but
because
they have the same. Or when I say roots, I mean they have this similar origins where they cross pollinated at some point and then separated. Once it became a tree, they separated. The branches separated, but
yeah,
the root itself is from the same origin. But then
I guess,
as it matures as a tree, it branches out, and even though it's one tree, it has many leaves, many branches.
I
So-
guess. I mean,
And they're so far apart from each other that they can't relate to each other, but the origin is the same point.
well,
I guess
uh,
that's my meta. That's my metaphor.
right,
It's like
like Jainism, Buddhism, Hinduism are all intertwined, yes.
yes, yeah.
But when you
Journey
look
to the
at
West, right? That's the famous story.
But the big thing is for the India to the east, they will never tell you these are historical stories. These are just mythical stories. They're cool with it being a mythical world, right?
Right.
Whereas the Abrahamic ones, oh no, no, these things really did happen. And that's why I almost see it as two separate trees. The one that's
Right.
comfortable with the mythological and
Right.
one who has to force feed you. No, no,
Right.
he really walked on water.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
I'm like, oh God.
Aquafina.
Yeah, so metaphorical language is lost in that sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, you can see it like that too. It's just kind of like when you think about the first comics. Like you had the Journey to the West was told, and different cultures had like a comic book styled influence of these stories that were being told, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Kind of like Christianity adopted the chick comics in the '60s. It's like,
right.
but it's just like these are stories that were meant to inspire people that were metaphors. And the funny thing is, I tell my Christian relatives and then some of my Jewish friends about the story of Abraham specifically is a metaphor. And it tells you in the Geneva Bible, if you read the Geneva Bible, it tells you at the very end that Abraham and his sons were not literal people, that it was a tale of two cities.
hmm hmm
If you
hmm
go to the Old Testament and read the ending, they explain the allegory at the very end. That they are not real people,
hmm
but yet people still see them as
Well,
real people. But that's the Trinity, right?
yeah,
You have the Hindu Trinity, and Christianity had their Trinity. So the Abrahamic religion needed a Trinity as well. So it's like they adopt this Trinity to give it a basis of their
yeah,
faith. But
yeah.
they're all metaphors.
It's interesting because the Trinity in Christianity comes much later, just as a means of
Oh
it's
yeah,
a political
yeah. I mean, and then think
it's a
about it.
political monkey wrench to force
Yeah,
certain factions of different Christians who weren't getting along together,
absolutely.
right? So there's a political
Yeah.
side too. So it's just not about inspiring
But
people.
they have the whole. They all have the same. The end game is all the same, no matter which one you follow. It's basically to subjugate and control, and rewrite the narrative.
Yeah, yes and no. And I'll say why. Buddhism and Hinduism, I don't have to show up to temple.
Right,
Right. That's on
but
me.
you have a lot of the Hindus right now currently taking over Muslim temples and reclaiming
Yeah.
them. So, well, hundreds of years ago, this was taken from us, and we're taking it back. And
Absolutely. The
you know,
organized part for sure. But you
yeah,
can still be a practicing Buddhist or Hindu
right,
without having to be part of that.
right,
Because the journey is your journey.
right,
This is the difference. The
yeah,
West, it's like, no, 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 you can't have your own journey. You have
right,
to give me 10%. You have to
right.
show up to
Yeah,
it.
you get tied.
You got to tithe. It's like the original corporation.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
There is
absolutely.
no self journey for you. Where
Yeah.
yeah, there are those similarities where they do share that institutional structure of going out
Yeah. Yeah.
and try to take stuff back in the name of Hinduism. And I'm sure it's probably a faction of Hinduism too, because there's probably
Yes.
different variations of it, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to Christianity and Catholicism, it is a friend of mine who was a historian said it to me best once. He said Rome went from the empire of flesh to the empire of the spirit, the mind. Confession, another great way of surveillance, the original
Yeah.
surveillance. You sit down, you tell your
Guilt.
sins. Now someone knows you're cheating on your wife, you're
Right.
doing this,
Yeah.
and they have all the pressure points on you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I always kind of see it. I don't find that we're able to have that spiritual journey in the West.
Yes. Yes. Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Very true.
so yeah. And that doesn't mean that there aren't whack jobs. Like, for example, the Dalai Lama. I don't know if you saw the video of him trying to suck on that kid, trying to get the kid. Yeah, you saw that. But apparently, it turns out that it was a caste system in Tibet.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, it was disgusting. You know,
No offense to any
no, it's
Tibetans out
gross,
there, but it's disgusting.
gross. So there's
Well,
there.
with the Dalai Lama, he also gave refuge. This Dalai Lama and the prior Dalai Lama, his previous incarnation gave refuge to Nazis. So, and he
Yeah,
also blessed the swastika. So, you know, so I mean, there's that. So there's a lot of problematic stuff historically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the CIA has funded a lot of the
If you
Tibet
have any
stuff.
questions, feel free to ask. Yeah.
The Free Tibet stuff was very heavily funded by the CIA, and it was one of the ways that they were looking to get into China to destabilize China with through Tibet.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We also have it
So,
in color. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Exactly.
yeah,
Absolutely.
there's those things. So it's not to say like that's why I pointed out Tibetan Buddhism. It's not to say it's not without its similarities, but
It's like communism. It looks good on paper, but when you start to practice it, there's a lot of problems when you look at it. It's like, well, this sounds good, but when you actually see it in practice between Cuba, Russia, China, some
well,
things work, some things don't work, and then overall, it comes
again,
down to human nature.
we've
Of
never had communism.
right,
Because if you understand the principles of communism, even
right,
China today says, yes, we are communists, but we're a socialist
social,
system
yeah, yeah,
moving towards communism.
right,
But if you've got, say, outside forces, I put this to my son once because we were talking about Stalin. He's like, oh, we were talking about the stuff that Stalin did. I said, okay, so say you just lost 28 million of your people fighting against the Nazis. And now the country that was your ally, who's very fresh, heavily industrialized, decides to call you your enemy. Now you have to start industrializing for war.
yeah,
So it's not like you get a chance to trade, right?
right,
This is where China has shown, hey, you know what? I'm trading. I'm not making any war. And that's
right,
why their version is working.
right,
Yeah, so when we sit there, plus if you go to Native American and other cultures, communism has existed. I mean, in one way or the other.
right,
The Native American uh, guy for the head of Indian Affairs literally said this. He said, "We have to get the Native Americans to stop being communists and stop becoming more independent and more individual. We got
right.
to get them to start thinking about the I instead of we." So we've been very inundated as to what communism is in the West.
Right.
We've been struggling to get to things, and let's just say it, capitalism fails all the time.
All systems are not going to work because humans are. There's always going to be every good idea has somebody that has initial reception of how can I exploit this. All right,
Well,
like capitalism sounds good, but
mhm.
we see in practice that it's failed and left behind the working class. You
well,
know,
that's how it's designed to be. It's like feudalism.
right,
It wasn't intended to lift us up. This is where we got fooled,
right,
right? And who writes the books were the very wealthy of the people who were
right,
struggling.
exactly. Very true.
What Marx would have said to you on regards to that, and this is his whole point: what is your material reality?
Right.
Then you make decisions from that material reality. He was not about trying to push an ideology more than actually understanding.
Feel free to look at it. Yeah.
Uh, and that's what his whole thing was. It was trying to make it as a science. How does this work? What are the situations that you're in? Try to work with what you have, right?
Yes.
Instead of this ideology. He's actually very pragmatic. This is what people. And here's the crazy part.
Take a look at it.
FDR
Yeah.
and most of through the most of the presidents of the Cold War had communists as their economists.
Right. Oh, hi.
This is
Yeah.
something that's not talked about.
Exactly.
We're given this idea that it's an ideological. No, literally, it means this. One, it means the means of production are owned by the workers. So
Yes.
instead of money going to the to the shareholders, it comes to us. So what is that telling you? It's a co-op.
Yes.
Co-ops are communist.
Yes.
That's you know, and we've never had an honest discussion because we've been scared into thinking, well, it's a bad idea, it fails. Well, we never really sat down and asked what it is,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
uh, and it can
Enjoy
be
the show.
many different things.
Yes.
You
Very
know,
true. Very
like
true.
my grandfather worked on uh, creating co-ops. Well, he created a co-op back in the 30s for farmers. So they
Mm.
own their own land. They tilled their own land. They got the
Right.
production
Right.
from that, and that's all it is. We're just sort of saying instead of having this guy who gets all the money, it means we all share the money for the work that we're all doing. That's
Right.
it. There's nothing magical, mystical. It's just dollars and cents in many ways.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Um, Now, the other thing to keep in mind too is that Stalin is the person who created state capitalism. But he didn't create it. He used state capitalism because he said Russia's rural. We need to become industrialized. So we can't be communist just yet. We need to
Right.
use state capitalism to get there. So there's this
Right.
whole history that we don't know about because it's like, might as well be in church and say, don't speak of the devil, right? It's the devil. Communism equals devil. Well, I don't know it's
Yes.
the devil till I sit down and actually read. How can this work? How can that work? Now, socialism is in the middle. We can have some capitalism and we have some communism. And usually most people think that that tends to work the best. That doesn't mean you have poor, uh, really
Right.
no rich people. China has very rich people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So,
capitalist. It's capitalism for the wealthy and communism for the commoner.
oh, no, 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 no. Don't get that. No, no, no. I'll explain one thing that I learned about actually, there's been studies on this. So the Chinese, going back a long time, this is why they said it's communism with Chinese characteristics.
Right.
So Chinese culture, there's a long tradition of you have the rulers,
Yeah.
you have the scholars
Mm-hmm.
underneath the rulers,
Yeah.
you
It's,
have the
it's like a feudal
army,
system.
and then you have the businessmen.
Right.
The businessmen will never get up here. I don't know if you remember years ago, Jack Ma started saying some stupid shit, and then he disappeared. And then he reappeared, quite humbled.
Yes. Yes. They were like, we'll teach you a lesson.
Yeah, capital is not in charge.
Right. Right.
It's not in charge.
No.
So just to clarify that, yes,
Yeah.
we do have capitalistic because it's socialist, so those things are there. But it
Yeah.
is not what we have. What we have
Right.
right now is we have the money men in charge,
Yes.
you know. So it's my 2 cents explaining some communism to
And,
you.
and we're gonna have to leave it there because I have a panel coming up in 5 minutes. And
Okay, sorry, man. I
that's
rambled too
cool.
much.
But we're here at this show, and
Oh, awesome.
it's only a 1 day show, so maybe tomorrow you and I could probably get together. I got to just figure out where I'm going to be, if I'm on the road or downtown. We'll see what happens
All
because
right.
got to appease the wife, So she's on vacation and I'm working. So
Well, you know what? We can do it next week. You can have some time with your with the missus, and we can go from there next week. How's that?
we can do that. Or I'm also free. I'm actually off this week, so if you want to do something during the week to come, we
Sure.
could we could do our regular schedule
Oh,
like on
that's right. You're
Monday
a
or Tuesday or
teacher.
whatever. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah,
teacher.
yeah, you're a teacher. Okay.
So we're on spring break, yay! But no money to actually have a break. There we go.
All,
Failing capitalist system right there.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can make a lot of money, but we'll have to tax you. And then, we'll tax you, but
But if you really, really have a lot of money, we're not going to tax you. So you're
right,
clear.
exactly. Which makes zero sense, but that's I guess maybe we should talk about taxes as tax season's coming up. And
All right.
you take care. It's always a pleasure.
Likewise.
Yes, we don't have an intro or an outro because I'm on my phone.
Well, it's good to see you. Enjoy the show, and
It's always a pleasure.
likewise.
Take care, brother.
All right. Take care, man. Bye.
Take care. Bye.